all the books I read in 2025. So, apologize for the background, guys. I'm in my eBay office slash room. I run an eBay business, so don't really have any good spots to film. So we're just going to make do with what we have. So apologize for that. But yeah, I'm going to go over all the books I read last year. And I read a total of 12 books. And according to Goodreads, it was 5,189 pages. When I do enter a book into Goodreads, I make sure I'm entering the exact edition that I have, because you can change the edition you have, so I know the page number is accurate. So for me, I'm not necessarily counting books. I'm more concerned about pages, I guess. I set a goal for last year to do 3,650 pages, which would be an average of 10 pages a day. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you read only 10 pages a day, you can read quite a few books throughout the year. I don't get to read every day. I am pretty busy. Most of the times I do sit down to read, it's a lot more than 10 pages, but an average, I wanted it to be 10 pages a day. So I definitely exceeded that goal, which was great. Came out to 12 books. There are some chonkers in here. So obviously, if you read like only 300 page books, 5,189 pages would get you a lot more books than 12, but it is what it is. Also, I don't know why people have such a problem with Goodreads. I hear a lot of people, I don't know. I like Goodreads. I just use it if I'm even slightly interested in a book, mark it down as a want to read. That way I can just kind of remember in the future that I kind of had an interest in a book. I can also see, oh, this book is in a series. How many books are in the series? And you can look into that. I don't know. It's a great tool. I don't know why it gets such a bad rap. I guess because people use it more as like I don't know, to track the number of books. I don't know, whatever. Let's get into it, guys. So, first up, I read The Pale Horseman by Bernard Cornwell. This is the Last Kingdom series. This is book 2. Also, guys, I'm going through these books in the order I read them. So this was the first one I read in 2025. This is book 2. And I'm loving the Last Kingdom series. I saw the TV show a few years ago, and then my girlfriend was watching it like for a second time, and then I was watching it too. And then like I was out of nowhere, I was like, I wonder if the show is actually based off of books. I don't know why I didn't think of that the first time I saw the show. And then I looked into it, and it turns out it's a 13 book series. Now these books aren't like super thick, so they are manageable. It's not like they're 1,000-page books and there's 13 of them. So there's regular books. But yeah, the second I found out there was a series, I started picking some of these up. This is book 2. I'm loving it. I love the TV show on Netflix, and the books have been just as good. And my plan was to read one of these and then read a different book, and then read another Last Kingdom book, and then a different book. So every other book I was going to read was going to be a Last Kingdom book. But for whatever reason, I didn't pick up book 3. I read 8 books in between this one and book 3. We're going to get to a couple more of these later on the list, but I don't know why that happened. But going forward, I'm trying to keep that up so I can finish this series, even though I'm in no rush. But I am really enjoying these books. I recommend both the TV show and the books. So Pale Horseman, book 2 in the Last Kingdom series was the first book I read last year. Next up is a book I actually don't physically have at the moment. It is I Am Legend. So I saw this movie years ago, and I thought the movie was great. And I knew there was a book for it. And I was waiting to kind of find the book in a thrift store. I get a lot of my books from thrift stores. And finally, I saw a copy at a thrift store, and I picked it up. And once I did, I think I found it while I was reading this. And I was like, I'm reading I Am Legend next. That's the next book I'm reading. And I did. The book is great. The movie is great. They are very different, though. The story, the backbones of it is the same, but extremely different endings, and they're both good in their own way. The book is reading, it's just creepy, man. The guy's like boarded up in his house, locks himself in at night, because of all the vampires trying to get him and stuff like that. And then like, it's hard to make it interesting with just like the one character in a house like that, but somehow he does it, and it's very, very creepy. And obviously there's more that happens and all that, but yeah, definitely recommend the book and the movie. But for me, guys, I don't need to keep every single book that I read. Even though I enjoyed I Am Legend, it's not something I'm probably going to read ever again, so I threw it up on my eBay store. Someone bought it right away, so someone else can now enjoy the book. Also, the specific copy that I had came with a bunch of short stories in the book too, because I Am Legend is actually like a relatively small book. And so it came with a bunch of short stories. Personally, I never really enjoyed short stories, and in this case, I didn't enjoy any of them that were in the book, even though they're all by the same author. I read them just to give it a chance, because they were in the book I was reading anyway, but I didn't enjoy any of them. Maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of short stories, never have been, so I don't know. Someone that is might enjoy them, but for me personally, did not care for the short stories that happened to be with the I Am Legend book that I read. So next up, this is just like a random book. I found it at a thrift store, never even knew it existed. Signs Preceding the End of the World. Super short book. Just thought it looked kind of cool. I was just thinking I'll read this in between some longer books or something like that. I did not enjoy this at all. I don't even really, maybe I'm just stupid, but I didn't even really completely understand the book. It is translated to English, so maybe it's lost in translation. I will admit though, there were times throughout this book where the writing was just beautiful, kind of reminding me of like Cormac McCarthy or something like that. So I will give it that, but as far as just like the book itself, for me personally, very forgettable. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I just didn't get it, but did not enjoy that one. I'm glad it was short. Something I just randomly grabbed at a thrift store. This one I actually currently have listed on eBay because I definitely not going to be reading that again. Next up, got a nonfiction book. Primarily read fiction, but I do read some nonfiction, and mostly involves wrestling. I do have my main YouTube channel is a wrestling card channel, so I wanted to spice up that channel and maybe put in some wrestling book reviews. So I started to read some of the more current releases of wrestling books, and but those didn't really do so good. So there is actually a review for this on YouTube. It's just not on this channel, but this is the Jon Moxley book that came out, and this was pretty good. However, the one thing I didn't like about it is it didn't really go in order. All the stories he's telling just jump from year to year. Like he goes ahead 10 years, and then goes back, and then he'll stay on track for a few chapters and then jump ahead. And I would have just preferred if it was just all in order of like how it happened in his life, but maybe that's just me being picky. But aside from that, it was pretty good. But later on this list, we get to some better wrestling books, but this one, Jon Moxley, Mox. If I am going to read nonfiction, it mostly is wrestling books. Okay, next up, another book I don't currently have is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, book 7 of the Harry Potter series. So last year I finished it, but like the year before I had been reading a bunch of the Harry Potter books. It's one of those things where I knew nothing about Harry Potter. I knew there was a character named Harry Potter, obviously, and I knew there was a wizard-looking guy, ended up being Dumbledore, and I knew there was like a big ogre oaf-looking guy, ended up being Hagrid. But I didn't know anything else. I didn't even know Ron Weasley was a character, or Hermione. I didn't even know those people existed. I basically went into Harry Potter blind, reading it as an adult. And I'm glad I did, and I did finish the series this year. Obviously, book 7 is the last one. And I did enjoy it, and I might do a separate video just talking about the Harry Potter books. I am glad that I read it, because now I can like understand Harry Potter stuff when people are talking about it, because before it was just like an alien language to me. But it's definitely not something I'm going to be rereading, and so I got rid of those books. So I don't have it to show you, but yeah, finally finished the Harry Potter series last year in 2025, and all I had was book 7. Next up, The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. This is a chonker. This is a brick. So I'd heard lots of good things about this book, and then it popped up in a thrift store, so I grabbed it and decided to read it. It took me quite a while to read, because this is a big book. This is like 950, 70 something pages. It's a big book. It was really good though. It was really good. It's like hard to think that a book based around like building a cathedral would be very interesting, but there's like war, there's battles, there's politicking, there's action, there's adventure, there's traveling. Like it was a great book. And this made me want to read more Ken Follett stuff, so I have picked up more of his books that I happen to see at thrift stores. And we'll get to another Ken Follett book later in this list. But at the moment, this is the only one I've read. I know there are other books based in this world, and I do have one of them, I believe. So I'm going to be reading more Ken Follett in the future. Just not sure when that's going to happen. But this was great. I don't know if I would recommend it to anyone, but like, if you like historical fiction, this was great. And I think historical fiction is probably like my favorite genre. Next up, got another wrestling book. So we got a bunch of wrestling books in a row here. I was trying to catch up reading all the new ones that came out. And this one ended up being, to my surprise, the best wrestling book of the 4 that I read this year. And this is Becky Lynch, The Man. So I'm not even a huge fan of Becky Lynch. I wasn't really following wrestling when she was like in her prime. She's still around today and still doing great work, but I didn't really have high expectations for this book, but this was just, for a wrestling biography, this was great. She did a great job with this, and this was by far my favorite wrestling book that I read this year. And if you're going to read a wrestling book of the newer ones that come out, this is it. It almost read like a novel. Like, she did it all in order. This kind of almost read like a novel. It was great. Nothing but good things to say about this. Becky Lynch, The Man. Awesome book. Next wrestling book I read was Saraya, Hell in Boots. This one came out recently as well. This one was good. Not quite as good as the Becky one, no. I don't think, like, the stuff went in order. I don't think the writing was, like, the issue. I did enjoy this. It's just, it was hard to follow the Becky book. The Becky one was just so good that this one, even though this was really good too, it just didn't hold up. It's like following a good match on a wrestling show. This one I would probably only recommend if you're a fan of her. But either way, good read, or if you're just a huge wrestling fan, I'd pick this up eventually. I did enjoy it, though. Next up, this is the last wrestling book for the year, Life is Fighting, the Karrion Kross book. This one came in paperback, even though it was new. It just came in paperback. I had high expectations for this one. This kind of came out when Karrion Kross got released. And it was just more him kind of telling stories. It wasn't what I look for in a wrestling book. I was hoping for like a biography, a story of how he started to like where he got to in wrestling. But this goes more into his personal life and just him talking about stuff. And you can tell he's trying to be helpful. And this was a good book. I did enjoy it. I don't regret reading it, but it's not what I look for in a wrestling book. I just wanted a biography. I wanted to learn about his wrestling career, but he does talk about stuff like that, but he goes a lot into like his personal life and other jobs he's had and other experiences and stuff like that, which is fine, but just not for me as much, but still not bad. I would definitely recommend the other 3 wrestling books over this one. But yeah, Life is Fighting, Karrion Kross. Okay, finally, got to another Last Kingdom book. So for some reason I read all those books in between books 2 and 3. This is book 3, The Lords of the North. This one was pretty good. This one took place mostly in Northumbria. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying all these Last Kingdom books. This one, no different, still really good. Not my favorite one. We'll get to my favorite one next. But this was still solid. And after I read this one, it's like, all right, I'm going to try to get back on track and go one book and then another Last Kingdom book, which has happened. So yeah, book 3, Last Kingdom, got that one down. Next up, got a new release. This is like a first like fiction new release I've actually bought in a while. Because I read Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth earlier in the year, I heard he was coming out with a new novel, Circle of Days. And this is it's a fictional story, obviously, about what may have happened, what could have happened, the reasonings behind why people would have built Stonehenge. Very interesting. So I picked this up the day it was released. And yeah, got it a couple days later, started reading it. Pretty good. I wouldn't start here, though, with Ken Follett. I only have 2 books to compare to, but if you like Pillars of the Earth, you'll probably like this. But if I had to pick one to read out of the 2, I'd go with The Pillars of the Earth. But this was still, it was fun to read like a brand new book right when it came out. Really cool. I enjoyed this one. So this one is a little deceiving. It's a huge book, but the text is actually like, I don't know, it's bigger than you would expect. So word-wise, it's not as long as it looks, but it's still a long book. Like I said, I did enjoy it. But if if you had to pick out of the 2 Ken Follett books I read this year, I'd pick Pillars of the Earth over this. But still, good book. And last up for the year, so I kept on schedule this time, was Sword Song by Bernard Cornwell. And this is book 4 in the Last Kingdom series. This one I really enjoyed. This one, it starts getting good. Like, Ethelred kind of becomes part of the story. And that's just interesting because he's such a crap character. He's such a weasel. And just, you think this book kind of leads up to like something big, and then you think they're just going to kind of wind down from there, and that's going to be the book. But it doesn't. It winds down and it ramps right back up towards the ending. It's just like so much action in this, but you also get everything being set up and all the politics and stuff as well. But like, just in this book, so much action was packed into it. And this was, so far out of the 4 Last Kingdom books, this one was my favorite. I obviously got 9 to go, so I doubt this one will be my favorite when all is said and done, but you never know. But Sword Song, this was really good. Definitely recommend the Last Kingdom series. I'm going to try to stick to my plan, read every other book Last Kingdom. So I'm reading a book right now, and then after that I'm going to read book 5. So this is a newer channel here on YouTube. This is kind of just my fun book channel I decided to randomly do. Like I said, I mainly have a wrestling card channel. So the channel is new. Don't really post that often, but the only books, Circle of Days, I do have a book review for this book on the channel here. And then also Sword Song, I have a review for this one as well. So moving forward, when I read a book, I'm going to do a review, but obviously I wasn't doing YouTube when I read all the other books, so I'm not going to go back and do it at this point. Just going to start moving forward. So yeah, not too bad, 12 books, but more importantly, 5,189 pages, 3 Last Kingdom books, 2 Ken Follett books, 4 wrestling books, Signs, Harry Potter, and I Am Legend. Yeah, that's a pretty good year. Pretty good year. I am currently reading Lonesome Dove, and wow. I should have that video up, I don't know, in the next week or so, because I'm towards the end of that book. I almost don't want it to end. It's been so good. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Till next time.